Welcome back to Proxy, everybody. And today I have Mika with me today, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Thousand Suns and how to beat them, how to deal with them as the Eldar. How you doing today, Mika?
Well, thanks for having me. Under the weather, as you can hear from the voice, but I just saw your video on Thousand Suns, and I have faced them a few times lately, so I decided to start a discourse with you, and it's great we had this time to talk a bit about the strategy.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, Thousand Suns, they look tough on paper. I'm looking through all
Yes.
their stuff. I'm looking through their index. I'm watching them being played on in competitive play, and I'm like, man, how do you tackle this army? Like, how do you actually, interact with it, really, right? It's
Yeah,
tough.
it's yeah, because first of all, the double moving units are always like catching you off guard, and I have had like two players lately who play the army, and it really depends. As also our army, Aeldari, it depends on the player and how much have they played with the army. Because I have had a guy who started Thousand Suns. Well, I don't know how long ago, but he's building his army and he has almost all the pieces. But we can all agree that Magnus is the one that you will see 1000% every single time on their list, or
Oh,
otherwise you will win the game.
absolutely. Well, it
And
almost seems like Thousand Suns need Magnus to be competitive, but yet
yes,
he's so powerful, it's almost like overpowering, you know what I mean?
yeah, especially my friend, the other player who has played them in tournaments, and he beats me almost like 99% of the time because he really knows how to uh, play Magnus. When the situation calls, you can play him bully.
Hmm.
You can just chuck it in because you have a CP reroll for your save. If you're not doing dev wounds to him, dev wounds will kill him, but nothing else basically. And then he has that with the Cabal points, that one reroll. So basically, and I think they have a strat that they can blink off one. So he
Yeah, they
basically
do.
will, if you shoot three bright lances, all go through, it will most likely be that maybe one goes through and you will roll like what 4 to 6 damage, and that's it because they have all the tricks up their sleeves. But that is the first problem you will face most definitely, like how to deal with Magnus. And you have two options. You either contribute everything and destroy him, or then you have to worry about the other stuff that will come to your backlines really soon.
Yeah, so you basically have to hope that your opponent makes a mistake with Magnus so you can
Definitely,
capitalize
yes.
on it.
And as I found out in the last game, uh, okay, let's be fair. The guy hasn't played in a tournament with this list, but it had, all, of course, Magnus and all of the good stuff. But he was terrified by the raid night that I had because I had the shooty one.
Hmm.
So hello everybody, I have a raid night in my in my tournament list.
Hey man,
But
they're not that bad, you know?
they are too expensive. But yeah, because they will kill what they because if you have Farseer close by, they will definitely kill something. They can kill Magnus. So I kept Magnus at bay for 3 turns by placing a raid knight behind the terrain and using fire and fade. Just step into the terrain, shoot something away, 2 CPs, go back. But I had one turn, one pawn was left alive and threatening my home base, so I had to put Raid Knight in melee, and he got left in the ruin, and after his turn, it was gone. So when you don't have an invuln, they have access to dev wounds, 18 wounds, and toughness 12. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
He
absolutely
will
not.
go. Magnus himself took away like over 10 wounds by shooting.
Yeah, and that's really crazy. The thing is, when you look at Magnus, and by the way, for you listeners out there, if you've ever seen his data sheet, it's insane.
Yes,
Two shooting attacks, I believe. So he's two
yes,
different shooting weapons. His melee is very good. It's
Yes,
not like the best in the game, but it's pretty damn good. He
and
has
he and melee too,
absolutely,
against
yeah.
us at least.
Oh yeah, against our stuff his melee's pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless he's going up and again, you have the option of not being an idiot and not trying to fight the Avatar of Khaine in single combat. But
Mm.
unless you're going against something like that, he wins almost every fight. On top of
Yeah, it's
that,
great.
he has a bunch of support from his other units. He generates a bunch of Copal points for your
Yep.
army, and he
Usually around
has
50 to 20,
yeah,
like the whole army. The
yeah,
whole armies. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, what does he do? 4 or 5 or something like that? I think maybe four.
and for us, I think the most deterring thing is basically you have to think that every unit has a flamer.
Hmm.
Every single unit.
Yeah, because why would you take the bolters when you can take flamers for free?
Yes, and this is how because I managed to beat the newer guy because he was like adamant that he played Visivik. So some units didn't have flamers, and I could cap them easily.
Yeah,
It is, but the tournament player, he most definitely has everything with flamers, and also they are using the mutalit beasts,
oh,
or
those are
what they are called.
so brutal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, and those will just start to run at you.
Now,
If you get 1A, you will not shoot anything. You can't see anything, and they will go second. So you almost for sure have lost the game already.
yeah.
In that point,
So I
because
mean,
our army needs to go second. It's
yeah.
sad but true.
Oh, absolutely. I think going second is very beneficial for a lot of our builds,
Definitely,
especially against
yes.
Thousand Suns. I think going second is basically really important. So you can capitalize on some of that stuff. But tell me a little bit about the Mutilith beasts because I'm looking at them and they seem really scary for the points. But on top of that, they can have indirect fire through a stratagem, right?
Yeah,
So they can.
and also Magnus, he
Oh,
can use the
right,
strat. But
right.
the good thing is now he doesn't hit on twos anymore,
Hmm.
because that's why I could keep because everything hits on fours.
Right.
So that's why I could keep stuff alive behind the walls, because he shot Magnus indirect, and maybe blink one or two warp spiders or something like easy to kill away. But that's better nowadays. But yeah, the stratagem, you definitely have to protect your own objectives, because you have to calculate that anything can shoot, basically,
Yeah.
indirect. And as
Very
we
true.
all know, we don't like indirect fire.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. And I tell people, even with the nerfs to indirect is still good. It's still
Yeah,
something you're going to see in almost any tournament because the ability to fire at something that you can't see with really terrain dense boards is invaluable.
yeah, it definitely is, and I think we can see maybe D cannon started to come back.
Yeah.
Like I played them ages ago and then proper extra nerf came in for the indirect, so I thought they were dead. But as you said, starting to make a new list after this tournament coming up this weekend. So I don't know. I might bring in those
Yeah.
back or Dark Reapers, but you need
Yeah.
something to reach the back lines of
Yeah,
the
I've been
enemy.
using D cannons recently and I find that they're just as effective. There's a couple times here and there where I'll roll a 3 and then I'll be like, "Oh, okay. That would have
Yeah.
hit normally." But I mean, most of the
Mm.
time, I don't know about you guys, but most of the time they're hitting about the same, you know?
Yeah, with the Eldar reroll always helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I
And
think that's necessary for them. Absolutely.
and as I said that Raid Knight has been the deterrent at 510 points. It's a lot in the list. So
Yeah.
basically, I called my list memes list because I have a Raid Knight, but actually I've been loving it, playing it. It's nice to have something that actually can shoot really hard.
Yeah.
Like dev wounds are gold in this like current meta we are playing. They are really, really, really valuable because everybody has 4-up invo nowadays.
Right.
Well, almost like everything has it. All cover, all smoke, AOC. Like it is like AP3 is nothing
Yeah.
nowadays.
Well, I mean, if you look at the factions that are really competing at the highest levels, they're all factions that have a lot of invul saves to throw around.
Definitely, yes.
Or
And
auto
I don't
passes,
like.
like Sisters of Battle.
Yeah,
Like, oh, just auto pass, auto pass,
don't
auto pass.
don't get me started like this. I'm complaining to every guy who plays Sisters, and we face off like in a tournament. I'm like, it's nice to have dice and use on every turn and multiple turns.
Yeah.
Look at your own fate dice and be like, why didn't you get nerfed with the
Oh,
Sisters?
man.
Like,
I know.
that's like a
You,
discussion every time.
you have to wonder about the logic behind that. I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah,
like why? They're the same ability. Why would you nerf
yes,
one thing and not nerf the other? It doesn't make sense, you know?
yeah. Some say that and I think it's a fact that they sent the codexes to print like ages ago. I think the Eldar codex has been in the print like I don't know many months or something
Right.
like that. This is like the I think it's a fact. I don't know if it's a rumor or a fact, but it might be that they were like, oh, okay, well, here's your codex and you can use as them wanted. And it's so odd that I've been loving using regular guardians.
Hmm.
And in the older editions, I never had those because dire vengeance and rangers were troops,
Oh yeah.
or
Th-
back in the day.
oh yeah. Like, have Guardians ever been good since like third
No,
edition? Like exactly, dude. Like they've never been good except maybe third
I have
edition.
one unit
Yeah. Oh man.
because,
Yeah.
well, actually,
Sadly.
I have like I had a good deal on one of the biggest tournaments in Finland last winter. They like were selling secondhand stuff, and I bought like bags of like painted guardians. They didn't have their special weapons, but
Hmm.
of course you can make that easily. But
Right.
I have those, but it was cheap, so I just took them.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but I use only one because I actually I don't know would I prefer the Storm Guardians for the sticky objective because I also play Drukari and I love sticky objectives. But
Hmm.
I have found that uh Guardians with the Farseer on your objective, uh, getting that one extra fate dice, it's really valuable,
Yeah.
especially if you're running a gun platform like
Oh, big
Raid Knight.
time. Big time. I think when it comes to the choice between Guardian Defenders and Storm Guardians, what you have to ask yourself is how much more mileage the Fate dice is going to give you during the game. Like, if you're
Yeah.
running a list that doesn't really need a lot of Fate dice, maybe you're running a lot of Wind Riders, a lot of Aspect Warriors,
Yeah,
maybe you don't need the Fate dice as much. Storm Guardians giving sticky objectives is really good for that kind of list. But if
yeah,
you're running
or
support
Inari,
weapons,
like
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Absolutely.
But if you have a Farseer gun platform,
Hmm.
like D cannons, whatever
Hmm.
you might fancy, it's most definitely. But I still think I only like 99% of the times I just use it for this particular list. I just use it for dev wounds and saves
Yeah.
on Avatar
Oh, big time. Big
or
time.
Avatar Overwatch, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays I have to. It's like a disclaimer, like a person comes to the table. Have you played against Eldari? Okay, disclaimer. This guy, because if you played Eldari, most of the listeners must have been playing in the start of 10th edition. You had to say sorry so many times
Oh
that
man.
I just thought that like a disclaimer in the beginning
Oh,
would be
absolutely.
a better way.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, the amount of times I've apologized to my opponent after playing
Mm,
them with the Eldari is beyond count. But it is what it
yeah, like
is.
I faced my friend who hadn't played this summer, and he played Imperial Knights. He had a basic knight list, like 9 small ones and
Hmm.
a big one. He used to bring to the tournaments, and it
Hmm.
was like uh, Raid Knight did some work. Oh my god!
Oh, nice.
And the last turn I had 5B if I remember correctly, and I had assassinate and he had the big character knight, and I was like, well, let's see if I kill it, like because I was winning the game already.
Yeah.
And I kept one. He hit 4 times. Kept one dice at the side. I will switch it to 6. Then I rolled 3 6s and started to laugh. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I think we're gonna call it
Yeah.
28 wounds or something like
Oh,
that.
jeez, man, that's crazy.
But it was good that it was in the end of the game. Like we were both laughing, like of course. But it's like, but he can do that. Never in the pinch, never ever in a tournament when you need it. It doesn't happen.
Of
Like
course.
last game, as I spoke about the spawn, he didn't kill the 2 spawns, so that's why I lost the whole guy.
Oh
But
God.
going back to the Thousand Suns, so I think the main factor is that if you have a deterrent and you can keep Magnus away for a bit, you have to do every single thing you do. Like let's say uh, if you're playing the ritual, you have to make couple of objectives, but I wouldn't do more than 2 because you cannot even hold the 2 you are
Right.
making.
Right.
And or maybe it depends on your list, but I'm playing such a brain surgery list at the moment because I always say that playing Eldar is like being a surgeon. You just have to know what's what. And when I built a list which has like 510 points in one unit, I was scarce on like throwaway units. So I basically just have like 2 ranger units that infiltrate, one in the midboard and one in the side, and the one will run into the middle when you pull like uh, what's an established locus or area denial.
Right.
That's their job, and but it's really hard when you don't have a single unit you can well, besides of those 2, if you lose like 1 unit of warp spiders or something, it's devastating. You really have to trade well on that, and surprisingly, the Wraith Knight has survived like 8 out of 10 games, which is this is approximately, but and those include tournament games. So
Yeah.
some people just avoid it. So again, I come back to the you should have a deterrent, and if you have Avatar also, if you play those 2 well, they will do some work. But if you have a savvy opponent, they will know how to hit you and how to hit you hard.
Yeah.
So it's and Thousand Suns, they will love to do their stuff in peace, like at least in my experience, for few turns, and then full send, like when they had chipped down a bit about your like from your army, so you don't have like warp spiders screening with the flamers anymore and stuff like that. And especially if they have mutalit beasts, they don't care, they just come at you. You will do maybe like what 3 4 mortal wounds or dev wounds, and that's it, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So every single trick you have on your book, like Phantasm, and I love the Ranger's own built-in mini Phantasm nowadays. That has really kept those guys in games like in multiple games, like avoided shooting or getting charged, just like if people come too close. And that's also a thing you have to uh, disclaimer to new people, like these guys have them built in, and you know how it is.
Right.
We are apologizing all the time.
We have so many special rules, that's why. It's
Yeah,
not just like fighting your average Ultramarines list or whatever that has one rule that you have to worry about, you know?
and yeah, and then also Thousand Suns will usually. They, I think one of the best relics or what enhancements nowadays.
Hmm.
I started the 5th edition, so I know only relics
Yeah.
basically. So the crystal that throws 1 unit, like uh they can like teleport, like well basically an uppy downy,
Yeah.
but I think it's on the movement phase. That is, you have to have screening, but of course, if you're playing a tournament game or a tournament practice game, if you don't know your screening, I don't know if you should go to a tournament really. You might feel bad.
Well, you might have to learn the hard way, you know?
Yes, yes, most
Which is
definitely.
okay. I mean, like, for all you people out there that are thinking of going to a tournament, you're kind of new to the game, I recommend it because there's no experience more than losing a game really badly and then, it sticks with you. That impression,
Most
you know.
definitely, yes.
And you'll
I
learn
highly
from it.
recommend. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because this is how I learned this. I was actually the same place that I'm going on Sunday, a small tournament. I think it's like 16 players,
Nice.
small club, small shop here in Finland, and the guy said, and this was, I think it was 8th or 9th edition, and it was against Thousand Suns, and I think they had that crystal already then, and he said it to me that he can do it on turn one, and I didn't. Well, I listened, but I was like, when you don't concentrate, and I was leaving a gap in my backlines, and I was playing with Drukari then. He came
Oh,
in and won B and killed 3 of my Venoms out of 6, and some of the guys inside. And I
wow.
was like, lesson learned.
Yeah,
Immediately. That will stick with you. Like, okay, now I have to learn how to do
absolutely.
this thing. And
Yeah,
nowadays you have to do it even in a smaller footprint because uh, people will use Calidus, and it's a
yeah,
small model. So
yep.
and with the
Very
flamer.
true. Very true. The darn Calidus, you know?
Yeah, I really don't like it, but it's easy when you learn defending your backline. It's like it comes just like that. It's from the shelf. It's like, okay, I just put this. Did it? You ask your opponent, did you have first turn deep strike? Yes, I can do this and this. But remember, people, to ask questions. If you do not know opponent's army
Yeah,
and he doesn't have anything in deep strike, you still ask, can you go to deep strike?
yeah,
Especially if you're
true.
facing a Drukari player or a Calidus assassin, or there are multiple armies that can do stuff like that, that they can go, well, basic scouts can go to regular reserves and can surprise you later on. So it's really important. I think it might be one of, is it the most important thing to nowadays, like
I
screening?
yeah, I think
Uh,
it's very important unless you just can't do it, you know. And I think
yeah, yeah,
some
of course,
armies
yeah,
you can't screen against everything, right?
yeah.
So you
Well,
kind of
like
have to
if you play
prepare other stuff.
custodes or
Right.
something like that,
Right.
like, but I think custodes or world eaters, they ain't screening because they are coming at you.
Yeah,
So basically, they are taking yours. They are switching sides basically. So
yeah.
it's a whole different like way of playing. But as you have spoken also, like in previous videos, the lone up Autarch is good in screening. He will avoid getting shot by indirect.
Oh yeah,
And
you can just put him out in the open and just
yeah,
9-inch bubble around him. Can't do anything. His base is actually slightly bigger than the Farseers as well, so that helps.
yeah, and of course, well, if it's indirect, you will get cover anyways. So
Right.
it doesn't matter like putting your guardians in the ruin or anything like that. But also, which is one of my favorite characters in the whole book, is I just love the Chef Jester. So
Oh yeah, the
this
Jester.
this Jester, yeah, it's with the Fates Messenger. Chef kiss.
Yeah.
Like I had one game. This was at the tournament we were speaking before we started to record that, which was my best placement, like 7th out of 26 or something like that. I had it actually had like tall ruins. So plunging fire, that
Nice.
-1 AP. I It was tank commander or full wounds, and he capped one shot it. And it was like, let's say I think they have 12 wounds. Let's say they have 12 wounds. I rolled really well. I did like let's say 8 dev wounds, and then like couple of wounds, and he rolled saves, and then he re-rolled one save. He was taking 10 wounds already. He re-rolled one save and said, yeah, it's a 3, you're AP1. Then I'm like, plunging fire.
Nice.
And I was laughing, so I lost the game by 3 points, but it was still an awesome, it was like these cinematic moments, like
Nice.
that was like that's what. But of course, like in usual tournaments on WTC or GW terrain, I that's the only tournament I have seen like tall enough ruins to do that.
Yeah, usually there aren't, but
Yeah,
yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I've had my Death Jester do some crazy stuff. At very beginning of the edition, well, almost the beginning, it
Hmm.
one-shotted a War Dog, which was awesome.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
that's
wow,
that's
okay.
tough also.
Yeah,
Yeah. And again,
completely
I'm sorry.
destroyed, but yeah. Yeah.
Apologizing again. It would be good if you could use the, but I think it was FAQ that you cannot use the Fate's Messenger in Overwatch. But it would be good if you could, because
You might
well,
be able to. I think you can.
I th I think, well, I will have to check, but I think on some tournament somebody told me that it can't be used because it's out of phase or something like that. But well,
Interesting.
anyways, check this, people. But do not rely on that. And if your death chester is being charged, you're kind of losing already
Yeah,
already
for sure.
at that point.
Got
But
a
he's
phantasm.
definitely, yeah, yeah, and roll a one. Usually how it happens. But that's why I said that the ranges like mini, well, Phantasm on their own is good because you can, in a pinch, you can use also Phantasm in the end of movement phase to them.
Right, right.
So it's and sometimes I run forward, screen.
Hmm.
Like, okay, you came within 9, I'm coming forward. Like, stay away, roll a 6, just do a daisy chain and try to keep them at bay, especially knights.
Oh yeah,
That's one thing.
that really messes with their movement for
Yeah,
sure.
that's really good. Like, never in the million years that would happen in even in fantasy life that they would run forward, but
Oh, of
but
course.
this is what happens on the table. But but yeah, Thousand Suns are. I think they are one of the most difficult uh, opponents we have. So you have your work cut out for you because you really have to. As I said, everything they see, they like kill, and depending on the mission you're playing, it's like I talked about the ritual. It's really bad. I hope you play some other mission,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't. You should just roll for the mission or something like that. But whatever
Well,
comes, it's
I'll keep that in mind for my game. If he says I want to play the ritual, I'll suggest we roll for it.
yeah. I don't know anyone who likes the mission, but
That's funny.
but I think the new ones have been really good. I'm really loving the new card pack. Like the mission pack is really good at the
Yeah, the
moment.
Prion X's mission pack's
Yeah,
fantastic. When I first got a look at it, I was really excited, and I'm having
yeah,
fun with it. I think it's better than Leviathan. And, truthfully, yes, even though the Eldar are kind of struggling competitively, I still
mm.
think the mission pack is stronger for the Eldar than the Leviathan was,
Yeah. And
personally.
they took away capture enemy outpost, so no bad feelings anymore
Right,
anymore
exactly.
on shooting something and fire and fading onto your objective.
Oh, I loved that combo though. That was the shame, that they took that away, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Well, I had like done to me that the opponent had played Grey Knights. He had that and Storm Hostile, and he took
Uh
my home objective. So I felt bad.
yeah, that's a pretty big feels bad. That's true. Big
Yeah,
8
so it's
VP.
yeah, most definitely. But it's also as we spoke before we started recording, I've been having so much fun playing with Eldar now, and it's funny. Like 510 points on Raid Night, it's ludicrous. The price tag is it's good, but it's not that good. He cannot go through walls. He cannot shoot and do like secondaries, and he doesn't have an involve. Well, if you use the shooty one,
Right.
but it's nice to have something that kills. And same with Avatar. It's nice to have one unit like that can slap
Yeah, no, I
hard.
absolutely agree. I think
But
most
both
Eldar
will
lists
fall on
need
their wounds.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
dev wounds are hard. But I don't think
yeah,
anything in our lists deal with dev wounds really well or mortal wounds. And actually,
no,
speaking of mortal wounds, Doombolt, right? I mean, that's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the
That's good. We touch. Guess how the Raid Knight took the 10 wound.
Doombolt. Yeah,
Yeah, and they can do it twice in I think one turn
right.
if they have. It was some character. Was it Argaman? I think Arima
Ariman
gives
gives you
that.
a free one, and
Yeah,
then there's something that lets you double up on rituals. Can't remember what it
yeah,
is, but
yeah. So that it's good that you brought that up because that was one, and then just the AP isn't that good on Magnus shooting, but there's a lot of shooting.
yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
so it's and some ignore cover, I believe. Some of the weapons ignore cover. So if you have the 2 up like Raid Knight in a cover, it really it will take wounds.
Yep.
It's just the volume
Yeah,
that it takes.
absolutely. I mean, it's really tough. Like Thousand Suns, their Cabal point system is really tough. And I was talking with a couple of the guys on the Discord, kind of, well, I feel like I was complaining more than talking about it, but Doombolt, it's like if you look at any other army in 40K,
Mm,
there's no army that can consistently deal 10 mortal wounds,
yeah,
among other things,
yeah,
in a single turn with their army ability. Like it
yep,
just doesn't exist. Like if you look at Eldar's Strands of Fate, a lot of people will go to that and say, "Oh, it's a really good mechanic. It's a broken mechanic sometimes if they're not experienced
mm,
players." But if you look at what it actually does, right? You're able to move a damage roll from an average of 3.5 to a 6.
yeah,
So that gives you 2.5 additional damage. And you can only use it once per phase. But even if you use it
yeah,
twice, even if you use it once during your shooting phase and maybe like once during your opponent's movement phase when you overwatch, you're
mm,
still not getting the amount of damage. And by the way, they still get their armor, they still get whatever their invul saves and all
yeah,
that you would get with a doom bolt. It's just not equal, you know. And I was talking about this the other day actually with my group as well, and some armies can deal with the Doom Bolt. They'll have some mortal wound protection. They'll have some, tough units that can kind of handle it. Dark Angels, for example, have
mm.
the Watcher in the Dark. They have things like that can kind of prevent that from happening. But the Eldar really don't have anything.
No, we just take it.
You just got to
I
take
like
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And it's you're not going to get away from those Doom Bolts because you know, they're really strong. They can be, you can teleport or move twice with something and then doom bolt something behind cover. Like there's just not a lot you can do against it. But now one thing I want to ask you, and you may have a different opinion on this than people in the Discord usually, but I don't know about this, right? So like in the recent Champions Cup, they ruled that Doom Bolt ignored abilities like the Wraithguard ability where you could shoot back, or the surge abilities that things like Khorne Berserkers have, right?
yeah. I was just coming to that, but please
Yeah.
explain. Till
So,
then, yeah,
oh yeah, perfect. So the recent GWFAQ in Pry Nexus, right, counted Doombolt as a psychic attack, right?
mm,
And we have it here on the screen. Any attack made with a weapon that has a psychic ability is a psychic attack. Any mortal wounds inflicted by an ability that has a psychic attack are also psychic attacks. Then we look at the FAQ, specifically on Thousand Suns, and we read here, is Doombolt considered a psychic ability for the purposes of determining whether mortal wounds it inflicts are considered to have been inflicted by a psychic attack? Yes, right?
mm,
So they answer that question. It's a psychic ability that counts as a psychic attack. And then, right, we
yeah,
I think this is from the same thing actually, so I won't read that twice. But if you look at the War Construct ability from Wraithguard, it says once per battle round, when an enemy unit targets this unit, after that unit has finished making its attacks, this unit can shoot as if it was your shooting phase, right? Now,
yeah.
my question with this, right, is that if it counts as an attack, why did they rule in the Champions Cup that these abilities don't proc? Is it because of the word targets instead of selects? Because to me, I feel like they're the same thing.
Yeah, I think we should Wraithguard especially should
Yeah,
shoot back.
right?
That's my opinion on
I
this.
think they
Yeah,
should shoot back. Because if you look at the core rules under shooting and you read the part where it says, the shooting phase, and you kind of read that part and how shooting works, it just says select a target, right?
yeah,
It says you select a unit that's eligible to shoot, and they select a unit. So I just don't get that. right? I
Yeah,
think, I don't
it's
know.
definitely an attack. It's definitely should be able to
That's what I
shoot
think.
back.
And I
Yeah,
think that nothing against the tournament organizers or the people who made up that or made that call, but I think there's an over intellectualization of the rules there. Right? I think they thought about it too hard
yeah,
and they made the wrong call on it. That's just my personal opinion.
yeah, and also like uh, if we are talking about like Wraith Guard, it's funny that they got nerfed, but what's the Marine unit? This is a Hellblaster, so that can shoot when they've been shot,
That's right, Hellblasters.
but they can shoot anything, right?
Right. Exactly. Weird. It's very strange. It's
Yeah,
like playing favorites, right? And
yeah,
I
but
realize that,
DW,
yeah, exactly. Like, I realize Eldar was strong and
yeah,
everyone was using Wraith Guard,
yeah,
but we have to also be consistent, right? We have to have
yes,
consistency because that was your whole thing in 10th edition, right? Was okay, we're going to be consistent. Everything is going to work the same. If there's an ability, like a reactive move ability, all the
mm,
reactive moves are essentially going to be the same thing,
yeah,
right? But they didn't do that. So, it's kind of weird.
yeah. It's always been because I don't play Marines. I only have the all Elven kind in 40k. Every army is, but it's sometimes feel like they're playing favors, like for Marines. It's like it's okay for them, but not for you. And
Right,
it's
exactly.
it is so clear at sometimes it's not even funny. But I think I that's one of my pet peeves. Like, God damn it, why can't you just say that if we had universal special rules like we had back in the day, feel no pain was feel no pain,
Right.
rending was rending. If it was like this, that I don't know what you could call it, like retaliation or something, like when you shoot
Hmm.
back, that would be in the USR section, and it would be if that gets nerfed, everything with that
Yeah.
is nerfed. And I don't know why they find this more easier, call everything a bit different, but it's the same thing. Uh, one would argue that universal special rules would be easier, but
Right. No, I agree. I think it should be a universal special rule along with a lot of other stuff, you know?
yeah, most definitely, yeah, yeah. It's I loved it when we used to have like old uh, in the remember sixth edition it was in the back like huge amount of USR. It was really easy to find like what does this mean? It would be a glossary, you would check it, oh it means this. Now it's every you have to ask your opponent like do you have this kind of ability?
Right.
Like now it's easier like do you have uppy downy? It's
No,
like
exactly. Like that should be called something, right? Like the swooping hawk ability. That should be
yeah,
called a specific thing and then you don't have to give every single unit an ability that's,
yeah,
basically the same.
yeah, it's most definitely it's the thing but this is how they set up the I, I I personally like 10th edition a lot. Have
Hmm.
heard like everybody in the tournament scene here in Finland love the 10th edition.
Yeah,
But if you go to online,
they hate
everybody
it.
who's playing like
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, why?
I personally like 10th edition and my reasoning behind my reasoning for it, I should say, is a little bit different than others and it was because I think 10th edition brought more balance to the game. I know a lot of people are going
Yes.
to disagree because the Eldar were wild, it was like Eldar
Yeah,
gone
of
wild
course.
in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like, they were on VHS, let's just put it that way. But the real thing of it is that yes, every edition's going to be like that in the beginning, but the core rules and how they worked and interacted and the kind of getting rid of all the waste, really did
Mm.
balance it in a lot of ways. And the missions were better.
Yeah,
The
most
secondary
definitely.
system was way better. Like,
Yes.
it was so frustrating in ninth edition playing Eldar and basically having to choose the same boring secondary missions every single game, right? You got
Yep.
scout the
Behind
enemy,
enemy
yeah,
lines.
behind enemy lines and like psychic ritual, right? It was
Yeah,
just,
it was so boring.
yeah,
Oh
you
my god.
had to play those or you would lose. It was just
Yeah.
impossible to win. And
Yeah.
it sucked, and it
Yeah.
sucked making videos during that time and like basically telling people like Yeah. If you try to do anything else, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna make things harder for yourself, you know. So,
Yeah, it's yeah. The end of ninth edition caused me that I always play with tactical every single game. Even if I play against Imperial Knights, I'm like, yeah, I'm playing tacticals because I just
it's
can't
fun.
be asked
Yeah,
because it's more fun. Yeah, most
exactly. I
definitely.
agree.
Yeah,
Every time I want to play fixed, it's like the only times I'll ever play it is when my opponent's running some weirdo skew thing where it's like a guaranteed 40 points. I'm like, or 20 points, you know. I'm like, all right,
yeah.
I'm just gonna do it because I got 20 points and 20 points max here that I could just max out right away, you know. But if it's not
One
that,
thing,
then I go tactical.
one thing about when we're talking about missions is also that if by any chance you are leading on turn 3 and Magnus is on full wounds and your opponent says, I'm taking a, what is it, secret mission or
Hmm.
what? You can bet your sweet ass what it's gonna be.
Oh,
And
absolutely, of course. Is
he
there any
starts to
question?
move. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
defend
so
that objective, man. Defend that objective, and
yeah,
just on the off chance that your opponent actually mind games you and chooses unbroken wall or something like that, then
yeah,
make sure you capture an objective. You know,
yeah.
but
But for
yeah,
those who don't play secret missions, usually it is that Magnus is trying to get to your home objective. That's
yeah,
the secret mission they're using. But usually our army, for example, the list I'm using at the moment, it has gas like against tough armies on 3B, but the fourth and the fifth turn, if you go first, are starting to hurt
yeah,
really bad.
yeah, big time.
So it's annoying that now that there is no alpha strike anymore.
Hmm.
It's beta strike basically, so
Yeah, true.
or an omega strike, but whatever you want to call it. But going second is so much more powerful, especially on the missions like Lynchpin and what else were there where you can score extra points in the end. That terraform, like oh my god, you really have to. If the opponent goes second and hasn't terraformed any objectives, he will do it on the last turn
Right.
and get extra points, and that's really hard. And also on the terraform front, when you have fragile units, please people do not fall into that trap. If you are not 100% sure that unit is still there in the end of opponent's turn, do not start to terraform because I have fallen to that trap many times before I learned my lesson that if you play pointy-eared armies, you do not have the staying power to do the terraform.
Oh,
So
absolutely
nowadays
not.
it's like a last game, practice games against sisters. We were smacking each other on the head like constantly, and the terraform was only tried one time the whole game by one sisters unit that I shot with the Death Jester, and they failed their morale, and that's that.
That's funny. That's very funny.
Yeah, that's
Jeez.
like a Death Jester is also remember that rule that if you kill one model, they will have to take the battle shock, and they
Yeah.
cannot use auto pass it. So it might pay dividends. It's really nowadays because it doesn't matter on the opponent's next turn anymore. So it's kind of like maybe stopping the secondary they are doing, but usually it's just try to kill the whole unit. It's
Yeah,
better,
exactly.
better that way.
Well, we definitely
And
have the tools for it.
yeah, but it's so annoying that you really need the Fate's Messenger on him. I have used
Yeah.
him on a sorry Drukhari list, and without it, you just have a lone up basically.
Yeah, exactly. Without it,
So
he's not great. And I think they should, if they change anything in the codex, it should be that he's a little better on his own, you know?
and maybe 30-inch on the weapon. He's a sniper.
Right, right,
Not
exactly.
24.
Exactly, I
I would.
agree. At one
It's
point, I
so
thought it
funny.
was 30, at one point, somewhere along the lines, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's I don't remember what he was in the older edition, but 24 seems so. Well, the table is shorter also, but
Yeah,
especially on double TC, WTC ruins or the tables, it's like you really you really need to place him somewhere well that you can at least see something to
Yeah,
shoot. But
very true.
I don't know how he works on. I don't remember when I had a fluffy game last time. It's been just tournament training or list building or tournaments. And also, while we're talking about tournaments, like last tournament I had, I played the 3 games all against demons.
Oh, triple demon. Nice.
So that's also if you are planning, at least the meta here in Finland, it's been that demons are on the rise. They
Yeah,
are,
I've heard a
I
lot
think,
of buzz about them too.
25% of the tournament played demons
Yeah,
last time in the end of August.
yeah,
So and that's another tough cookie to crack. If they full send, you lost the game. It's unfortunately it is just like that.
yeah.
If they
Demons are pretty
hesitate,
tough.
you're not really good. And swooping hawks are great against
Oh,
demons.
absolutely,
Ooh, for
absolutely. They
once
just
lethal hits
melt.
rule.
Yeah.
They will not have any 3-up armor
Oh
against
God, could you?
AP0.
Absolutely. Could you imagine running Baharoth and 10 Hawks with a guide
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
just nuking like all of their freaking characters? They're
yeah,
big boy demons, big fatso. What is his name? Papa Nurgle or God, what
yeah,
is Epidemus or maybe I'm getting it wrong, but the big great and clean one, the character.
yeah. Great unclean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. And it's odd that they have so many tricks also with that the area they paused and they
that's
can
right.
deep strike close.
Yep.
Like they usually leave the fat one in the back, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna be there for the rest of the game. Nope.
Yep, just pick them up and
Stick it
deep
the
strike them.
objective. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really difficult to deal with that army.
it is. Demons are tough. I have a buddy who
Yeah,
plays demons, and anytime he comes into the shop and we play, it's always a gamble. It's always a tough game. But
yeah. It's I think the most difficult of the armies that are full send, like demons or world eaters, and it's because you cannot destroy enough in that time that you are given.
right.
And for example, against world eaters, berserkers will move closer if you shoot them.
Hmm.
So you really have to think about it.
Right.
Are you gonna
Honestly,
engage that?
in my experience, Wind Riders, I know a lot of people don't run them, but they've done so well for me in Pry Nexus being able to stop World Eaters. We have a guy in our group who plays World Eaters pretty much exclusively, and every time he's in, it's like Wind Riders are always the MVP, just mowing down Berserkers. I mean, they're not
Yeah,
great against 8-bound, but with the Shroud Runner support, they can heap the wounds on as well. You know?
yeah. Like building the next list, and I'm thinking like trying to give the bikes a run for their money because I have had so bad luck with those in 10th edition. So I'm like, I gotta try these now. I just
Yeah.
gotta go for it and see. And of course, when you have played multiple like practice games, few tournaments with the same lists, you just need something different.
Agree.
And
Totally agree.
I think of course, but something different, and then you start to build a list with 3 sets of hawks and 3 sets of warp spiders and
Yeah.
Autarch Wayleaper, and then after that we might experiment.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
there's great big hopes for the codex that I would love if we would get the what's his name, the warp spider.
Oh, the Warp Spider Phoenix Lord. Gosh,
Yeah,
what is the
yeah,
name of that? I can't even remember. But yeah, that would be
but that
awesome.
would be great.
That would be
Yeah,
cool.
that would be
I mean, we're
that.
supposed to get a new unit, so I mean, they're kind of
Yeah,
giving everybody new characters. I feel like we should get a new character as well. You know,
yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah.
I know we're gonna get a
Yep,
resculpt on a Zerman, which the old ass man, so that's cool.
yeah,
Who knows how good it'll be, so we'll see. They usually have a bad habit of, with Eldar characters, making them complete garbage when they redo the cast. I don't know why. Perhaps it's perhaps they're hedging their bets on it. They want, the collectors to buy it who will buy it anyway, no matter how
yeah,
terrible the rules are, and, who knows.
yeah. It's I've tried Azurman a couple of times, but
Yeah.
it I don't know. It's just like maybe on some more fun list, but yeah.
Yeah, he's just
But
okay, you know. And I
yeah,
guess I'll say this about him before we we wrap it up, and maybe we can have you back another day after the tournament, right? And you can kind of tell us about your experiences with your list, because honestly, I love your list. It's really cool. I love the fact that there's a Wraith Knight in it, stuff like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Azurman's really good against certain armies, like orcs. He's really good against, but he struggles against power armor. Like he
yeah.
himself is pretty good, but the Dire Avengers he's with, I mean, they just don't punch through armor, man. It's really
No,
sad. You know,
no,
they used to
yeah,
be like the anti-armor unit in Ninth Edition, and
yeah,
they're just nowhere close
yeah.
to what they
Definitely.
were.
I had those on almost every list because they were that good.
Oh, they were great, man. Like, it's just a shame that. Well, maybe the Codex will kind of bring the best out of them, but we'll see.
Yeah, I hope we don't pay for our sins, but
Yeah,
let's let's see. That's why people you have to have multiple armies. That
agreed.
if
Agreed.
GW decides to slap you.
Absolutely. Or just have
So,
multiple different builds or whatever, you know. Or, you know, just be like me and just play a crappy army anyway. Just because,
yeah,
you know, and just troll with it. That's basically, yeah.
yeah. But hey, if we have to wrap it up now, so
Yeah,
if
absolutely,
we
man.
if we you could put the my army list if anyone interested in your description because we didn't go through it, but it's a pretty basic one, but it's just have the raid knight.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I'll
that's
throw
the
that in
memes
there.
on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So and feel free to uh, give me a call or let's set up something and we'll chat
absolutely,
on
man.
Discord and see how it goes. And please do a video about your game against Thousand Suns so we
Oh,
can
absolutely,
hear how it
100%.
goes.
100% win or
And
lose, I'll throw that up there and tell you guys what my experiences were firsthand.
yeah, so it's like did any of our predictions go as we discussed, like
Yeah.
what was used and what was not? So
Here's my plan going into it. I'm going to try to bait Magnus into a foolhardy attack and see if that works. And you know, and hopefully I'll pray to Isha and I'll be like, please, please attack the juicy Wraith guard that are moving up the field. You know, and hopefully
yeah,
he does it, but we'll see. All right, man.
yeah,
I'll leave it at that for today, but
yeah.
thank you for coming on. Really
No
appreciate it. I'll
worries.
leave
Thanks
that
for
list of
having me.
yours in the description. Absolutely 100%. It's my pleasure. And for those of you listening in, if you want to join our Discord and, you know, join the Eldar community and start talking about strategies, tactics, and all that good stuff, I'll leave the link to my Patreon in the description, and you will get, regardless of whether or not it's a free trial or not, you'll get a link to the Discord. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out.